Hello, and welcome to the Art of Intuition podcast. My name is Susan Jane, and I believe that trusting your intuition is the best way to live your life with meaning and purpose. Each week you will hear about how you can connect, develop, and trust your intuition through interviews with other guests and my own personal experiences. Join me to understand how your intuition can guide you towards a life full of meaning and loving purpose. Hello and welcome to the Voice of Intuition podcast. My name is Susan Jane and I'm your host for this podcast. Now today, we have to just say the regular things. Okay, like, share, subscribe, do all that sort of stuff. If you feel like doing that, I would be very, very honored and most grateful. Now, today, let's get stuck into this because that's what you're here for. We have the 3 key things to connect deeper with others, with yourself, and with your passions, with Tom Glaser. Now, this is going to be really magic. So Tom's got a book, and we're going to talk about all that. But in this book, he has these 3 key things, and we're going to brush over that. And there's a few other things that we want to talk about that we've just discussed before we've come on air. So we're going to bring all that through too. But you know what I'm like? I don't do a big intro for our guest. He is a licensed psychologist, though. So, but I don't do a big intro because I like him or my guests to explain it themselves. It gives you a better connection and better understanding of who they are. So, welcome on board, Tom. How are you?
Good, Susan. Thanks so much for having me.
You are more than welcome. I'm looking forward to hearing this because I'm getting so many tidbits from people. I love it. It's fabulous. But the first thing I want to ask you, Tom, is how did you get from there to here? Like, what has, I don't know, what's your life? What's happened? What's your journey about?
Yeah, so my book, the full title of my book is Full Heart Living, Conversations with the Happiest People I Know. And the truth is I got there through the unhappiest period of my own adult life. I had my dream job for 7 years and I was going to retire at this job. I was attached and couldn't wait to get up and go to work every day until things changed dramatically when a very difficult for me coworker showed up on the scene and just changed the dynamic of everything. So 50% of my job, which was I was a psychologist at a college. So I got to do the individual therapy that I really adore, but I also got to do creative teaching about all kinds of wellness topics. So the first part of my job was still great, but the second part of my job, the other 50%, was miserable and I got depressed. And
wow.
Yeah.
Hang on, I've just got to put this out there first, Tom, before you finish, because we don't, as outsiders, we do not expect therapists to get depressed or have a bad life. Right. To us, you've got it all. You know what you're doing. You know where you're going. And yet you're telling us that your wheels fell off.
Yes. Oh, even with all my training and all my experience, right? It is sort of shocking. I get it. And there was a time where I sort of was more sheepish about it, admitting it because of that very, very thing. But then I realized, well, it's sort of like a dentist expecting a dentist to not need braces, right? Or not need to get a root canal or something, right? We're all just human beings first, and we need to recognize what's going on for us and take care of our own teeth. So yeah, I got depressed. I was really down. It was a huge loss for me. What had been my joy turned into a nightmare. So of course I was going to be sad. Well, in the midst of my grief, I noticed really happy people all around me. And I started thinking, gosh, what are they doing that I'm not doing? What's different? And then I got brave and curious and I asked some questions, and it snowballed into this project with video. It started with videos. So I've got these kind of mini documentaries, videotaped interviews of the happiest people in my personal life. And that snowballed into this book. And so that's kind of a longish answer into your question, but how did I get there? gosh, I became interested in becoming a therapist in high school. I had a phenomenal psychology teacher, and he just lit this fire under my belly. I mean, I think human behavior is just the most fascinating thing there is, and I always loved deep conversations, and so just put that all together. That's how I became a therapist. I would also say, the truth is how a big part of how I became what I, in all due humility, one reason or way I became a good therapist is by experiencing my own hardships in my own life. So before that, I had horrible experiences in school where I was just horribly bullied and worse by peers. And my home life was very mixed. Part of it was phenomenal. I had some really good, stable parents in certain ways. And in other ways, they just weren't prepared for raising 4 children. One of them, me, highly sensitive. And there was way too much alcohol use in the family and way too much anger. And so a lot of trauma in my earlier life. And that helps me understand, even if my clients don't know the personal history or the details, they get that I get their own trauma. They get that I understand deeply.
Yes, and that's really important, isn't it? Learning by our own experiences, it gives us the empath, the side of that we need to be, because we don't have to experience everything that they're experiencing, and we certainly experience it different to them.
Yeah.
But it's really, really important that you do have some experience, and a lot of the aspects of the younger the generations coming through, they've got a lot of the knowledge and new knowledge, which the older generation may not be as savvy as, but the older generation have got a lot more experience and learnings with it too.
Right.
So we have these lovely differences in our psychology and in our counseling, in our life coaching and all those sort of things.
Yeah.
So you've gone through all that.
Mm-hmm.
I just, you spin me out when you sort of, to me, like, I look at psychologists and I think, oh my God, they've just got it so together.
Mm-hmm.
And yet your wheels fell off.
Yes.
And that has what created you. So this trauma has created you, or has encouraged you to look differently.
Yes.
And start to collect this information about happy people. What creates this happy people?
Yes.
Wow. So the question I need to ask is then, I'm not really sure. Sorry. Look, hang on. Come on, zoom in. Where was the next step here? So you started collecting this information about happy people.
Yes. And the first day of filming was one of the happiest days of my life. I'd known for years I was going to write a book, but I didn't know what it was going to be about until the first day of filming. And I was like, oh, I could write a book about this because I could do this day in and day out. Yes. So that's how the book came to be. And what I learned, as you sort of gave a very, a little bit of a preview earlier, is that happier people connect really deeply in 3 ways. So they connect really deeply with other people, Susan. They have a tribe. They have people they love and who love them back, and they spend a lot of time with their loved ones. Number 2, they connect really deeply with themselves. So what does that mean, and what does that look like? Happier people know who they are. They honor their rhythms, their circadian rhythms. They live in alignment with their values, and they are in the present moment more than less happy people. So like the whole mindfulness thing, so that they don't miss out on the preciousness that only exists right here and now. They're not distracted by worrying about things that haven't yet happened or perseverating over things that came before. They're here in the present moment. Number 3, happier people have passions that they connect really deeply with. So they have activities that they get into that state of flow in. And What does that mean? So that's like where we lose all track of time because we're just so engaged in the activity, and it feeds our soul. And when they can do these things, connecting with others, themselves, and their passions in the service of other people, Susan, that's where you see what I always say, kind of like the Holy Grail. That's where it all comes together. So happiness is not just for ourselves. Happiness helps us be better people. We show up better. Happier people do more good deeds. They cause less harm. They volunteer more. They donate more money. And there's the contagion effect as well. So it's not just this hedonistic, it's all for me and I'm just going to do things that are happy. No, or that are going to make me happy. Happy people, it's everyone wins when we are happier. Happiness helps us have more resilience so that we can bounce back from life's inevitable hardships more. And the other thing I really like to point out, so I'm just, for those of you who have the visual here, this is the cover of my book, Full Heart Living. The reason I chose this title is because happier people do live with their whole heart. It's not just kind of that Polyanna, I'm just going to be happy all the time, positive thinking, positive thinking, positive thinking. No, happier people, if they're sad, if they're down, if they're angry, if they're upset, they recognize that's an inevitable part of the human experience. And they allow that to come into their heart as well. So when they're sad, they're sad. They allow themselves to grieve and knowing that they're going to move through it. And the more we can do that, the more we can experience joy as well. Like you can't suppress one without the other. So less happy people, and I see this frequently in my work, less happy people are trying to not be unhappy, like they're stuffing stuff, or they don't want to be anxious. They don't want to be worried. So they try to shove it down and avoid it. And that doesn't work. It backfires.
Okay, right. There's so much information there. That is lovely.
I know. I threw a lot at you. Sorry. I can't help it. I get going, right? I'm passionate about this. So I get going and
I know. And I love it. But I think I had about 5 questions I wanted to ask you, and now I've forgotten them all. But let's go back. I want to go back to the start, right?
Yeah.
Because when I've sort of looked at what we were going to be talking about,
yeah,
I didn't know we were going to be talking about happy people because I want to just tweak this a little bit more.
Okay,
This is
great.
really lovely.
Love it.
So the first thing I want to ask about what you were talking about is, and I remember this clearly. You talked about that Polyanna look.
Yeah.
Everything's good, everything's wonderful.
Right.
I remember being exactly there. Like I was going through this emotionally abusive relationship. I had 3 kids in 3 years. Mm-hmm. Then I worked out what was causing it, and I stopped. So, but I can remember thinking that. I remember reading a book saying you've got to do positive thinking. Doing all this, and I just sort of thought, what a load of BS.
Yes.
How can I be feeling positive or thinking happy when I'm feeling so crappy?
Right.
So it's like
you can't. It's not possible.
It was a real aha moment.
Yes.
And
yes.
So what I want you to do, Tom, is I want you to explain to me, and I know what I did, but I want you to explain to me how, if somebody's sitting there in all that quagmire,
yes,
how do we first start? Because I know it's not all about being bright and happy, but how can we start that process?
Yes. So the first thing that comes to mind as soon as you ask it in that way is to wake up, to notice, quagmire. I'm in a quagmire. Oh, this is what being in a quagmire is like. And then get more specific. What does that mean? What's happening in my body? And the second thing that comes up when I say that is you may not be able to do it alone. This is where our loved ones and sometimes professionals can be so helpful. So slowing it down, what is it really like, right? Again, full heart living, opening the heart even to the suffering. So what does it feel like to be this upset? What's happening in my body? What do I want to do? What are my impulses? We're not going to act on all our impulses, but it can be very helpful to acknowledge them. When we're angry, we often have violent fantasies, right? There's nothing wrong with fantasies. Fantasies are just figments in our mind. And in fact, those figments in our imagination can be very helpful when we really follow them. So this is often what I do with people, is just saying, so what's this really like for you? What is your depression like? How do you experience it in your body? What happens in your movement? What happens in your thoughts? And following them. Well, I'm just sad all the time. I don't want to get out of bed. And so then sometimes, how about trying not getting out of bed? Try it, see what happens, really follow the impulse. And eventually it leads to somewhere unexpected, right? So maybe either just in fantasy, I allow myself to think about staying in bed, or I actually try it. Well, what happens? Eventually I'm going to get tired of laying in bed all day, right?
Yeah.
Eventually I'm going to want to get out in the world again. But maybe my body is telling me, oh, I need to slow down. Maybe I need a day or a week or a month in bed to replenish my system, and so that I can get clearer on what it is that I want to be doing in the world. And maybe my nervous system needs some time to slow down. So to me, these are just messages, Susan, from our body, right? And if we can honor them, then something new appears.
Okay. So when you're saying that, Tom, and I get where you're going with that one. One of my, I guess one of the alarm bells are if you're doing that with therapy with somebody who's qualified, that is good, because you're actually working through it and the qualified person knows what they're doing. When you're actually doing that on your own, that could be a little bit scary, especially if they're physical fantasies that are a little bit out there. We have to be mindful of that side of it. So if you're experiencing something that's a little bit violent or a little bit extreme, then to me, the alarm bells go, no, you need to go and talk to a therapist. I'm not saying you can't go deeper into that vision or anything, but you do need to do that with a professional to help you.
Yes.
But when we haven't got that, when we're just sitting at home and we're like, I know when I was doing it, I was just sitting at home, and honestly, I didn't feel like I needed a professional at that stage. Yeah. Later on, I did seek professional help, but at that stage, I didn't feel I needed professional help. And so it was more about those small steps that I could take to get more of an understanding, and then go, okay, this is a little bit too big for me. I need support, or I'm just going to continue on here and see how it goes. And if I can't get what I want, then I'm going to go and look at professional support, or other support.
I love how you did that. Okay, and look how you trusted yourself, though. So this is the thing that I see, is that often people don't trust themselves, right? Yes. And they get scared, and then overwhelmed, and then they shut down. So and then paralyzed, and that's not helpful. So but I love how you're like, you trusted yourself. Oh, I need to break this down, figure it out one step at a time. Super smart. Yes, follow those instincts. That's another huge piece of what I'm doing in my work, is helping people to uncover. And this is where we get into the intuition, isn't it? Yep. Uncovering people's truth. That's what I help them do. Trust their instinct by listening to them, by feeding it back to them, right? And helping them say, that's good. That's a good impulse. Try it.
Yeah, because it's when you're listening to your intuition like that, there's no good or bad. It's just, let's see how it goes. And morally, and deep down, we know our intuition isn't going to tell us to go and grab a gun and shoot people or anything, because that's not what it's about. No. And if you're having thoughts like that, that's when you do need to go and get some professional help straight away.
Exactly.
I'm talking more about a lower level, how we can get started there and get to know ourselves, so we do know when we have to go, all right, I need help. Yes. And look, honestly, with mine, I got to the stage where my ex-husband sort of went, there's something wrong with you. You need to go to the doctors. And I really had no idea. Everyone else had labeled me with postnatal depression because I'd had 3 kids in 3 years.
Yeah.
Everyone had labeled me with that. So I was dumped at the doctor's surgery and said, get some professional help. You need some help. His idea was medication because that was the choice, the drug of choice then. That was Valium. I didn't like taking tablets, so I didn't want to go that way. But I was really lucky, and how synchronicity and how it all works. The doctor that was there was a new doctor there, a lady doctor in town. She did alternate therapy. She did acupuncture and other things like that. And I got in there and she said, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? And I said, I don't know what's wrong with me.
Okay.
I had no idea that there was a problem.
Yes.
Yes, I was in tears a lot of the times, but I had no idea that there was actually a problem.
Yes.
And the thing was, it wasn't postnatal depression. It was emotional abuse that I was copying. And so, it's so funny because I was thinking I didn't need help, and I didn't. In some ways, I didn't. In a medical term. But anyway, this doctor, she was writing out a prescription and writing out some notes, and she held up the 2 pieces of paper and she said, here's a prescription for Valium. Here's a list of books that you can start reading. Your choice. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
And I had 3 kids in 3 years. I had an alcoholic husband. I lived 2 states away from any family members. So I took the easy option. I grabbed that list of books and I never looked back. So, and that's what we did. So I did that and I went through the books and I got a learning and I started to get the understanding. And from there, it was like, okay, if I need help now, I have a better understanding of who I am. I have a better understanding of how I can relate to a therapist and how I can get the most out of it. When you're talking about the help and everything else, and I want to go back into that because I know you're very intuitive in your therapy.
Yes.
But when we go back into that, we sort of still go, well, hang on, we need an awareness of who we are. We can go to a therapist, but you're going to get more out of it when you start to get an awareness of who you are.
Well, and it comes from relationship, though. That's the thing, right?
Yep.
It's not just one or the other, and it's not like we should just know who we are. We learn who we are by being in relationship with other people.
Yes.
And so I love your story because it's you had trust for the doctor, at least the woman that you ended up with, right? Yes, that's relationship. She saw you, she heard you. She understood you. She gave you choices.
Yes.
All of that is part of the alchemy of healing, right? It wasn't just the books. It was also the experience of being seen.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Options.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
That makes sense. Well done.
Yes.
And so I want to go in a little bit more, and I know we're sort of going a little bit off track here, but I think this is really, really important because I do get a lot of life coaches and therapists on the show, but I haven't been able to narrow it down enough. I know a lot of life coaches, they have their trainings and then they follow this pattern or routine or anything else. I did my training such a long time ago that I've created my own. It's like, and I, again, follow my gut, follow my intuition, do what I need to do.
Yes.
But I want to really focus on because you're a licensed psychologist, you have rules and regulations that you need to abide by to a certain degree.
Right.
But you also have your intuition kicking in because you're very intuitive.
Yeah.
You have that kicking in. How does that work? Like, how do you get that balance happening?
Yeah, well, all those the ethics that you're referring to, the training, all my years of experience, I think of that as a really essential part of the whole. So that all kind of provides the container, we might say, right?
Yeah.
So like we need boundaries, we need containers, right? We can't drink easily without a container of our cup or our mug. So that's all there. Really helpful, really essential. I'm so happy I had the training. Like you, it's so long ago now, although there's continuing education, of course, that I've done all these years. but right, like you, it's far more like I have just developed my own way of being with people, and it is highly intuitive. And so, the first step there that I want to mention is is attending to my own self-care. I have found is essential, because this work can be pretty draining.
Yes.
It's intense, and it takes a lot of attention and energy to be so present with another person, and to follow their every micro nuance and facial expression and inflection in their voice. It can take a lot of energy. So I really attend to myself first by looking at, how am I moving my body? What kind of nutrition? How much rest am I getting? Am I not overworking? Am I not seeing too many clients? And that's just a small sampling of the self-care that I do. But then when I show up, I started to get into this a second ago. I'm following the person. I'm listening really deeply and watching them, and not in a weird, scary, analytical way. It's not.
Yes.
It's just observing, being present, really noticing what's happening. Because if I see a twitch in the eye, for instance, that could be an indication that there's emotion. Often it is, and it could be so small that most people miss it. And then I follow so I notice it registers, tiny twitch in the eye. And this happens in a matter of seconds, but I'm slowing it way down for the sake of, verbalizing it. Might that be significant? What just happened? Why at that particular moment was there an eye twitch? And if I get a yes, and this is, again, really intuitive, it's just somewhere in my body, there's a niggling somewhere that tells me, yes, ask about the niggling. And then I ask permission. Would you mind if we pause for a second? I want to hear what you're saying. And we'll have a chance to finish that thought. But if it's okay, could I interrupt you real quick? And if they say yes, first of all, if they say no, I honor the no. And I just hold my thought. But if they say yes, I say, I noticed that twitch in your eye. And it was right when you said XYZ. And I wonder if there might be a connection there. And like 99% of the time, if I'm just like, I'm trying to just be really available. So all the self-care helps me to be really available. So I'm tuning into the other person and to myself at the same time, simultaneously. So I notice the twitch. It goes in my body. Ask about the twitch. Then 99% of the time, something magical happens. That's an example of intuitive therapy right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. Yeah, because what I talk about, like we look at the analytical side when we're really learning, or when we're really engaging with our intuition, we need to look at the analytical side. And that's why we do the card decks, the oracle cards or the tarot cards. Yes. It gives us an analytical picture. I do flower readings. It gives me the analytical picture. And then you get those intuitive messages coming through. So you see that eye twitch, that's your analytical picture.
Right.
And you go, okay, there's something going on. That's the intuitive message coming through, going, they're not just flicking a bug out of their eye.
No.
There's something else there at that particular time. And that is the awareness. And it's really funny. I've been in a group, like say you've got a group of 3 or 4 people and you're standing in there chatting, and because I pick up people's emotions as well. So I can feel what's going on.
Yes.
But you watch somebody and they're doing something. And I can remember saying to my partner, okay, we've got to go now. And he goes, why? And I knew that these people, whatever was going on, you could feel it. You could pick it up. The little signs that they were showing, because your awareness is very, very sharp.
Yes.
You're picking up all those little signs and you sort of go, well, hang on, they did this and they did that and they did that. Those 3 altogether add up to this, I'm pretty sure. And so it's time for us to go. They're either getting really horny and they need to have their own space, or they're really sick of our conversation, which is probably more to the point. you're picking it up, and it's really strange. And when people don't pick it up, I actually find, well, how did you not see that? Like, why did you not know that?
Yes.
And it's that's when you're like you say, your awareness is really in tune.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I've learned to trust it over time.
Yes.
That's the thing. So many people some people are less aware, right? Some of us come into the world more aware. Yep. But then there's also the development of it. I learned to trust it over time. So I didn't just come into the world like this. It was not how I was trained. Of course not. There is all the analytic training. And again, thank God I have it. Really helpful, because it helps me know, oh, if someone's depressed, let's name it, and then I can give you the two choices like you had, right?
Yes.
With your doctor, the two lists, 10 books or take a medicine. I don't prescribe medicines, but anyhow, the point is, over time, I slowly experimented. I noticed these things. For a long time, I didn't say them, but that didn't feel right. And it wasn't feeding my soul as much. When I didn't attend to them, when I didn't honor them, that's another drain on the system. But when I honor them, like I said, 99% of the time, I'm just making that up. I don't know what the percentage is, but the vast majority of the time, magic happens.
Yes.
So that's energizing for me. So that feeds my soul. And then I can do the work more because it's fun.
Yep.
That's one of the things. I mean, there's a lot of other things that are fun too, like seeing people make progress, like people's having insight.
And to me, that is the magic, isn't it? Like when you say magic happens, that's the magic. You see them get their aha moments, and you can see them growing and developing. Even mentioning things like, oh yeah, that happened to me the other day, and that sort of does this, and they start to reflect and they start to get the learnings that you're going through. So each time you question them or you ask them something, they're getting a learning and they're getting an understanding of it. So it's so enjoyable to watch, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yep. And the other thing I wanted to really, really acknowledge you for is when you first said the self care for yourself before you go in, before you do anything like that. And as empaths, as introverts as well, we do tend to forget that, like I'm going to put my hand up because I'm a bugger for it. I do forget to give myself that self-care.
I'll join you. It's a process, right? It's not an event that's ending. I continue to need to be reminded, and I have a family who helps me remember too. Slow down, Tom. Don't overdo it. You've got to attend to yourself.
I think I need another family that does that too. I tend to just keep going like a bull in a china shop. Whoa, let me go.
Well, because you're passionate, right? Like me, I have all these passions. There's so much I would love to do in the world. It's very, very tempting to overextend.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, even in the podcast, because like you don't get paid for the podcast, not at my level anyway.
Mine either.
So a lot of it is it's you're giving your time, you're giving your space, you're giving your energy, and it does get quite draining. It can be quite draining on you, but I just love it. I love meeting people like yourself, and as we're talking, other people are getting a learning and an understanding from it. So to me, it's just, it's gold. But before I go any further, Tom, I forgot to mention your website. So guys that are listening, Tom's website, if you want to connect with him, is called fullheartliving.com. How easy. I like that. Fullheartliving after the book.com. So you can connect with Tom on that website. It's going down on the ticker tape for those who are watching the show. But the book is called Full Heart Living. So same. Yeah. Anyway, so where were we up to next? What I wanted to there was something I wanted to ask you. Okay. So I love these steps that you're going through. So the first thing we need to do is, because even though you do it for yourself, everyone needs to do this. First step was self-care. We've got to look after ourselves before we do anything else, before we do any other aspect. when you're engaging with other people, the next thing you need to do is be aware of those little signs and symptoms, not symptoms, but, signs and
Signals. Yeah.
signals. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got to be really aware of that. And everyone can do this. So if we're like I said, in a group, in a conversation, being aware of those signs and signals that are coming up.
Yes.
The next step is to listen to your body. This is what you were saying. Listen to your body. Listen to how those signs or signals you're interpreting them. Is that correct?
Yes. And and can I just interject?
Yeah.
Not assuming that it's right. That's another thing. It's always a tentative, a curiosity, and offering it to the other person. Like maybe I have a twitch in my eye. I had this twitch in my eye. Might that mean anything to you? Is it okay if I share with you a physical sensation that's coming to me really strong? So giving people options. Some people don't want it. And again, that's cool. Let them opt out. Most people get really curious, though, if you give them that option. They're like, yeah, I want to hear. What do you got? Bring it on.
Absolutely. And what you're doing then is you're giving them the option of saying yes or no.
Yeah.
Instead of you making that choice, because that's something I did. I can remember doing. I sort of went, oh, they won't know. They won't want to know that. Right. And at the end of the session, they said, oh, I just want to get an understanding of this. And it was exactly what I decided that they didn't want to know.
Yes.
So yes, so it's gently giving them the option. So you've taken on board that message that you received. This is all your intuition, you see. You've taken on board that message you received. You've seen the analytical. You've got an understanding to it. You've actioned it. You've actually asked them, what does this mean, or what do you think, or what do you look like, or here's some options. And that to me is really, you are a very, very intuitive psychologist, because you really are focusing in on your intuition and what that information is bringing out. So I love that. That's really cool. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about too, you talked about you're getting your learnings from your psychology, and that's your cup, or your, that's your
container,
to hold it. The other thing I wanted to look at is, because you've got that vessel, that cup, it's those tools that you're putting in there, isn't it? And it's holding those tools. And because you've learned those tools and you've got that understanding, you are able to then relate that to your client, or relate that to them. So you're getting these messages, you're getting an understanding intuitively that you need to say something, but it's knowing what's in that toolbox there that you can actually say, here, have you tried this? Have you looked at that?
Right.
Yeah. So what other magical tools have you got? Come on, fess up.
Well, I feel like I will just go back to those three things. It always comes back to the heart, right? It comes back to relationships. So that's why I start with, my list of three keys to happiness from my book. Is the first thing is relationships with other people. It's we are such social beings. We need to be with people who love us, and we need to love. Yes. I feel like that is just absolutely the number one thing. And like I was saying earlier, that's how we learn that we are lovable. That's how we develop self-esteem. It's not separate apart, and we should just come into the world with good self-esteem. No, we learn to love ourselves by being loved. We learn that we're lovable by loving others.
Yes.
Right? It's all that circular thing. And all those things feed our connection to ourselves, number two. And then happier people do activities that they just adore. Like I said, less happy people are doing things that make them miserable. Again, I've just seen it so many times. And it's what I heard from the people that I interviewed. So I initially thought with my book, Susan, that I would devote a chapter per person I interviewed. But really quickly, when beginning to write the book, I realized, no, they're saying so many of the same things. The book needs to be topical. So like there is, one of the early chapters is on self-care. And then there's a chapter midway through on connecting I think that's called All You Need Is Love. Yeah, I think that's the title of that chapter. So I feel like it always comes back to those things, even though I didn't name it that way for much of my career until, distilling it down to this message for the book. That's what I do, is help people wake up to these things. Where's your tribe? Find your community. How mindful are you? How connected to yourself? And what are you doing that brings you joy? I feel like those are the main things in my cup. Now there's more specifics, but if I had to distill them down, I don't think I could say it. I could say it other ways, I guess, but that's what I've come to.
That was pretty succinct, I think.
Thank you.
That was pretty good. Yeah. And I love that. So and really, when you think about it, you're in such a dire straight area, like it's such a, being depressed and everything else. You actually looked out and saw happy people, and that's where you wanted to go. And in focusing on that has allowed you to bring in this information. And it is really good. When we look at it, the three basic things: connect with others, connect with yourself, and follow your passion. You're going to be happy.
Yes.
And again, it's not about being happy all the time, because it doesn't work that way. We have to have those changes. We have to have the growth and everything. But Tom, this has been a wonderful.
Can I say one more tool that's occurring to me? So again, for people who are actually watching, this is my product that has come out of this. So this is a tool, which it just occurred to me now. This is teaching people how to connect. These are conversation starters with listening instructions. So the prompts are based on chapters and themes in my book.
Yes.
And then it reminds or teaches people how to listen to each other so that they do connect more deeply with self or others. So I'm holding up this box of like playing card. This is a game called Full Heart Living Conversation Sparks.
Okay, so we can get that at fullheartliving.com. And it's it's like a little deck of cards that is conversation starters. And it's giving you the instructions with it. That's a lovely idea. Really nice.
Thank
you.
I'm
talking without being on the screen. Whoops. Yikes. Okay, guys, at least you can hear.
We forgive you. I think I can speak for the listener.
Okay. All right. Well, we're coming to the end of the show. Have you got any other little tidbits? Because I just love how we've done this whole 360.
Totally.
But it was really enjoyable to get an understanding of the therapist's point of view. And when you are going to see somebody, the biggest thing, like you said, is the connection. If you don't connect with that therapist, find another one. You're going to find it. You're not held to that therapist. If you don't feel comfortable for any reason whatsoever, or they don't seem to be getting you, find another one. Go and find another one. That's what I say. And I did 100%. It with all my training in my books and my research and everything else. Over those 15, 20 years, whatever it was, I would take out of the book the information that suited me, that resonated with me, and I let the rest go. And I say that with the podcast, whatever podcast you're listening to, take on board what resonates with you.
Exactly.
Let the rest go.
Exactly.
Intuitively, you might have only needed to hear one or two tidbits, and that's it.
Yes.
So, but any last little message you want to put forward?
I'll just say it's the same thing in a therapy session, right? Or in a class. Take what works and let the rest go.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Thank you so much for being on the show. That was really good. I really enjoyed it. And I love that understanding of it. It was really cool.
I had a great time. I so appreciate this opportunity, and all the best to you and to all the listeners.
Thank you. Now stay online because I have to do my bit and then I'll be back. So, hey guys, that was really cool. We all have we have life coaches have their own sort of way of doing things, and therapists have their own sort of way of doing things. It's really nice to get that understanding and to know that there is therapists out there that still use their intuition, that still uses it for the benefit of others and for the benefit of you, the clients. So it's really lovely to have that and to feel comfortable and confident with that. But again, take what you need. If the therapist doesn't suit you, find another one. If the book doesn't suit you, take out what you need, let it go. This is all part of our growing and our personal development. So, and trusting your gut, of course. So I'm Susan Jane. Like, share, and what else? Subscribe to the podcast, or share it with your friends. And this is what it's all about. If we can help them as many as we can, that's what it's all about. Especially on this podcast, it's all about giving. But I'm Susan Jane. What was I going to say? Oh, it doesn't matter. I'll tell you next week. All right, guys, hang on, let me get my proper spot here. Have a great week, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.